So what key trends are you seeing in e-commerce now, payments and customer experience?
High level, we talk about a couple of trends. I'll go through them one by one and continue. First off, and I think it's important to say, like, when you get into this, like, we're obviously going to end up talking about agentic commerce and AI here, and it's a massive trend. And you both have like a direct and indirect aspect of AI being agentic commerce. When and how will that happen? And secondarily, if you're building anything in software now, how are their software cycles compressed and how do you need to build differently, which I'd love to talk about. So, but I'll put that on the side and let's talk about the e-commerce trends that we look at. And with this, I think it's important to not sort of just talk about the hype. Let's talk about the actual big problems or the big opportunities that will unfold over the coming years. And some of them are well known, like the first one, which is global. And when I say global, I don't mean that it's, the global commerce, like the global trade community. To some degree, globalization is getting challenged right now in world politics. But the point being that if you're really truly committed to helping the merchants and making their life simple with high performance, you need to help them go to Spain. You need to help them go to Croatia. You need to help them go to Japan. And that's a proposition with this beautiful like checkout proposition that's grown out of the Nordics, which there's a lot of opportunity for us to help our merchants with. And this is still a significant need. There's a bunch of players that have done good here, but there are no players that satisfy global coverage with a checkout experience. Then you serve a headless pure payments API. And that's the thing that we really believe is the big opportunity here. Don't build a checkout anywhere. Don't do all this wiring that becomes a mess yourself to integrate to all your different nShifts and equivalent, identifications and equivalent, loyalty. I won't do them all again, but So the global trend is still there, and that's why we're really doubling down on adding all the payment methods and currencies as a first thing to set that out, because that should be a non-issue. It's technically there, and then we can cater with the checkout user experience proposition and the data value, but also cover all transactions and currencies. So that's number one. Number two, also an old trend. When I started, this was like the most spoken of, unified commerce, or Unifound. It's almost like your own brand name. Unified commerce, omni-commerce. It's had many names. It has many names, but basically making it easy for the merchants to glue together the two different worlds that they're operating in, their online presence and sales and their offline presence and sales. And, there was, I would say, even a time where it's like, oh, well, we have some pure online merchants and there's some pure offline. It's like, I would say more and more merchants are omni or hybrid, like they're selling in both worlds in one way or another. And I think a truth that I've seen over the years, even if you're a pure e-com merchant, you have a warehouse somewhere, you do a pop-up somewhere, you want to get rid of the old stock that you're not selling anymore, so you do warehouse sellout. So you actually end up doing a little bit of in-person sales. And with this, the conclusion for us has been very clear, like, this is an unsolved problem. I spent most of my years at Klarna speaking to mega brands like H&M and Macy's, and their most commonly asked questions is like, how can you help me identify Lotta, both with her online purchases and her offline purchases? Because those are completely separated, that we can't link them. We don't know anything. We have about 30% identification on our purchase volume, and that's really bad. They don't know who their best customers are. So these two things coming together, the fact that everybody's to some degree omni and that everybody needs to glue those worlds together, solving for harmonized payment offering. You should have the same payments online as you have offline. Shipping, it would be great to do shipping also, but it's not as common. You have, buy in store, ship to home scenarios, which I think is going to be something that grows, but I think it has lagged because we haven't solved the fundamentals of omni. So that's payments, that's identification, so that you can both give a better user experience, but also help the merchants understand their business even more, and harmonized operations. So with our setup, what we can do is simply, you go to the same portal, you have the same payouts, same order management, and those three things, payments, identification, and operational harmonization with Omni, those we really believe in and go after. So we've covered global, we've covered unified commerce. Let's cover composable commerce. Composable commerce also may be a bit vague to some degree, but this really comes back to why we believe in the horizontal model and connecting what we refer to as the 4 or 5 different ecosystems that merchants, depending on what they do, need to connect to. So you need to have a connection to an online payments infrastructure or stack. You need to have that. You need to have a connection to the shipping proposition and the tracking management system, the delivery systems, or like how you define yourselves. You need to have a connection to the loyalty stack. Which CRM are you keeping track of your customer relationships in? And who do you give a discount or a loyalty reward to? Who do you send emails to? Making sure that the data fits in there. And the in-person payment stack. All these things, they have one common thread. They're complex. There's a lot of different layers in integration. Our purpose, since we're sitting on this beautiful position of harmonizing the user experience, the API, and the data, like we can connect all those three, we want to do the horizontal proposition and orchestrate commerce across this four. That's what composable commerce means, because it should be possible to take our solution and compose it with nShift, compose it with Voyado, compose it with Apple Pay, and compose it with Klarna. So you see, like making your building blocks come together. And hence, that's why we believe so much in what we're doing, and we're horizontal. And I just want to double click a little bit on this, because it can be, I guess, a little bit like I went to business school. So you make these models and you try to explain the world with them. But some actors run a more vertical proposition. If you look at the e-commerce stack, the simple explanation is that you have a checkout proposition, you do the processing, and you have a payments proposition and a post-purchase proposition towards consumers. So you have a consumer payment method and a consumer app that you download. If you run a checkout and have that, there is an incentive problem. Your incentive is always going to be to force the consumer into your payment method. And this is sort of double-folded problematic. You have a lack of consumer preference being respected, which is going to hurt your shopping experience as a merchant, because they're not getting all the payment method in a good user experience as they want, or maybe not at all. Maybe they don't serve them or even care about adding them. This is something I saw firsthand when running the proposition under Klarna umbrella. Obviously, as I worked at Klarna, there was an incentive to have more of the transactions be Klarna. So if you're vertical, you are underwhelming the shopper population and the merchant performance by having a biased relationship to what payment method it's selecting. In addition to that, you have this conflict of interest at the end of the day, and if you scale it up, who has the relationship with the shopper? Is the shopper the one who has a payment method and a post-purchase app, or is it the merchant that should be having a relationship and sending emails? And this is a friction, and strategically you can have companies that argue that like both can appear, etc. But what we believe in here is having a pure aligned incentive with our main customer, and the merchant is our customer, and we are a merchant first company. We don't have a consumer payment method, we don't have a consumer app, and that is sort of now it's a long but I think relevant discussion on or actually maybe monologue on composable commerce. But if you're actually going to do composable commerce and offer the best of breeds in regards to like the best of nShift and all the other partners we work with, then you got to be horizontal. You don't go vertical, because then you have a biased relationship. You have e-commerce platforms with the same problem. They basically they sell an e-commerce platform, but at the end of the day, they do push a payment method on the consumer and try to take them into their ecosystem. So that's composable. We got to get to the last one. Agentic. Agentic commerce, this could be a very long discussion, so I'll try to keep it brief. It hasn't happened in our industry. We haven't had our ChatGPT moment. It has happened in other industries. If you've been to San Francisco, you've most likely sat in a Waymo, or anywhere in the States, sat in a Tesla. You've experienced the car driving itself to some degree. That is solved. That's a matter of scaling that to be big. If you're an active music listener or live in that world, you've most likely ran into AI music, and nowadays many people have liked AI music, and we even had in Sweden the Billboard Top 1 for a significant amount of time here in January being an AI generated song. So it has had its ChatGPT moment in music. You can go through different industries and have like the same conclusions. Like it has had ChatGPT moments. On panels where I've attended and discussions we've had, and when we've talked in the past, people have not done agentic physical goods purchases. They haven't. And this I love to go into it. It's going to happen. I'm a big believer in it's going to happen. It's going to serve both consumers and merchants. But there are some misconceptions here. Many think it's binary, and that there will be like this progressive rush over. There's going to be two different internet experiences appearing at the same time. We have the human internet with web pages, which is going to still be around. People are going to do window shopping, but like online URL shopping. And we're going to have the agentic experience where it buys something for you because it knows you're running out of your deodorant, or because you've asked us to buy you good supplements for your whatever you want to achieve with your health. So both of those are going to happen, but it's not going to be a binary flip, and there's going to be scenarios on how they're integrating. So with Agentic and how we view that, we very much see our purpose as making our merchants portfolio empowered and shoppable in an age that is progressively going to become partially agentic. So that's the capabilities we built out. We make sure that the catalogs from our merchants are searchable. You can add to cart. You can build a deep cart, not have a single item order cart. Then you can interact with full fidelity with the shipping configuration. So we actually want to make sure that the nShift business logic and power that you have between you and your merchant, it comes all the way out into the agentic experiences. And the same goes for shipping and upselling and loyalty, etc. We can double click on how that works if you want to. But those are the four trends: global, unified, composable, agentic.
Great. Okay, super interesting. And I know you're really passionate about Agentic, so we are doing a separate coffee chat on that one. Because that's a whole topic in itself. But my last question for this coffee chat would be, so what's next for Kustom? What does the future hold?
Yeah, great. So we really believe in being clear, transparent, and put the direction out there with our partners and with our merchants. And we've tried to be really deliberate on how we've set up our relationships and our business model and how we build. So we have a acronym internally which is a bit cringy, but it's POP, Partnership as a Product. And working with you, and it's a part of our product to have this partnership. So we got to take it and treat it as if it was our own feature. And this is something we're very much doubling down on. This requires us to really be transparent and sharing, and what I'm doing here and our dialogues that we have. And the same thing goes with merchants. We're a merchant first company. It's one of the principles we have. And we need to fully be transparent, share with them, build for them, build with them. So in terms of what we're doing, we've spoken about it, but we're really going after the commerce orchestration and being this horizontal layer that aggregates and gives all the powers of all the different composable things you might want as a merchant, that propagates out to the shopping experience and out to high operational efficiency. But that also enriches our relationship with you, and we bring the best of the ecosystem. So, collectively as a composable family of all things we can set up, we got to make sure it's the best car a merchant can get into. So whatever race they're driving, they should have the best engine, the best chassis, the best driver, yada, and that means payment, shipping, all of it. So that's where we're heading. And practically what that means is that we're really doing a lot more and deeper integrations, and we're expanding the checkout for the online proposition. We're delivering, we have the agentic proposition, which you already now you can configure yourself to work agentically with us. But to be clear, we'll take that in the other session, but it's not in Europe yet. It's not really a profound thing. And we're delivering our in-person payments product. So mobile point of sale actually just went live this week, and we have terminals coming up. So it's the four ecosystems, the horizontal approach, partnership as a product, the merchant first. It's very transparent, open, and that's where we're heading.
Wow, interesting. Okay, so this has been so super exciting listening to you, Rasmus, and hearing about Kustom more in depth. So thanks a lot for joining me today.